Hello and welcome to the AfterParty, Conversations with Spy Party Players. Today I'm joined by AngryHatter.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
That's good
Thank you
to
for
hear.
having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, you're fairly new to the community, and one of the rare new players who actually takes part in the forums.
Yeah, I got a big mouth. You found me out already. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
like to
but
talk.
yeah. Sorry?
I say I like to talk and interact and engage with such an engaging community. It's just, such a nice group.
Yeah, well, that's very good to hear. Uh, it is kind of an aberration because problem that we found in the community so far, in the community for Spy Party, a video game that we all play, is that we don't get many new people taking part in the forums. And part of this may just be an artifact of the forums are hard to get into. Part of it may be just when you're a new player, most of your attention is just on learning to play the game. But it's something we're grateful to see, a new player who actually uh, takes time in the forums. So we're very grateful to have you and other new people.
Okay, you can't see it, but I'm bowing right now, so thank you.
Yeah, we should have made this
I
a
do have.
videocast. I couldn't figure out how to do that. So audio is what we're doing with. So
No, you're not
everyone
gonna.
imagine Angry Hatter bowing.
Okay, Taft. Just imagine Taft doing a bow.
Ah, nice. All right, that creates a good image. But yeah, so was there a particular thing that drew you to Spy Party? Was it something you like heard about from a friend, or like how did you get into the game?
Okay, that's a good one. What sold me was Chris, 100%. I had been watching Homeland, which is, great TV show, right? And in the midst of it, you have that thought in the back of your head, gee, I need another spy game. I already have Spycraft, and that's 150 years old. So I just hit Google, and the first thing that came up was Spy Party. The wall I ran into was all the articles about it were fairly old, which gave me a anything but warm and fuzzy feeling. I said, gosh, some of these articles are from 2010, and this game is still in development.
I love
So,
that in internet terms, 2010 is old.
well, it's ancient, right? The computer like doubles every 18 months, and now that's been cut down to 6. So, yeah, it is ancient technology at that point. So you look at a game that's been in development that long with a crew that small, a one-man show. That's daunting, and I'm ready to turn the page and not do it at all. When one of the links led me to, I believe it was one of your chats, and it was with Chris, and that was it. I was just sold by the guy's vision.
Wow, cool.
Uh,
No, I haven't had him on the show yet, so it must have been an interview with somebody else. But yeah, he certainly grabs your attention.
well, the fact that his brain is rapid fire was one thing, and his opinions about the game itself were another thing. But then the construction of the community, I thought was so well done. I've never seen anything like it anywhere, and I've been around computers a long, long time. I've seen
Yeah,
a lot of
I'm sure that's something we
communities.
can talk about.
I've been on a lot of forums. I participate in everything, every aspect of my life. There's an online equivalent. This is unique. This is really, really unique. So I was just drawn to it right away.
Oh, cool. So how much have you played so far? Have you played like a few hours, a few dozen hours?
All right, just as a background, I'm a quality assurance guy by trade.
Okay.
So if you want the statistics, I'll give you everything right now.
Well,
Um,
I think they're provided like
I know, I know,
when you're looking. But
I know. I'm playing with you. Um, I've had a couple of dozen games, 3, 4 dozen games maybe.
yeah. Okay.
Not a lot. My hours tend to be very late at night, so I tend to be playing people either from Australia or Insomniacs.
Or both.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But yeah. So uh, has it been like a rocky road learning the grips? Because that's something we're interested to know from people who are new to the game, because we don't get too many opportunities to talk to new players, is what it feels like learning the game.
Yeah, the learning curve is um, if we're at the extreme left side of the graph, it's a vertical line. It's just straight up. No, seriously, I think chess was easier to master. My father started teaching me that when I was 5, and all the pieces don't move at once. In Spy Party, imagine a chess game where everything was moving at once. You're going, oh, really? Sure, I'll never get this. Um, yeah, at first it was like completely overwhelming, but then that made me more determined to go look at all the available material, and I found there was just tons of it. And some of the insights are so cogent and perfect that I started going, okay, I see, I could put some pieces together. So I think I bought it mid-December, got into the beta, and then it was probably 2 weeks later when I started to play. And
Oh wow, so you spent that long just deliberating over learning.
well, part of it's my schedule.
Ah,
Right now, I'm a musician, so I tend to be out playing till, as I said, wee hours of the morning. So when you go into the lobby at 2 a.m. and you find one other person, it's like, okay. And I'll sit for the 10 or 15 minutes and I won't get an invite. And sometimes I'll even try, hey, how are you? And, nothing happens. But
yeah.
um, that's the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah, especially at this early stage when it's still a small community and not too many people are around.
But yes, as you were asking, it's daunting. It's incredibly daunting. But on the other side of that, see, everything about this game is so balanced. That's if you look at any game, the ultimate goal of the designer is balance. It doesn't have to be the most realistic game in the world, but it has to be fun enough to play it, and you get to the end often enough to say, "Hey, that was good." So there's a balance aspect to Spy Party. I can have my butt handed to me by somebody who's played thousands of games, but if they're treating me in such a way that they're instructing me and I'm learning and I'm having a martini and they're telling me what I'm doing, it's a great time. It's an absolute, it's a blast. So
So,
that's very important.
so what you're saying is we need to provide free drinks to people who are starting out to ease them into it. It's a good suggestion.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm
It's like,
not.
all
I
right,
wouldn't. I
now
wouldn't
here's what
say
you do. You
no.
pour yourself a martini, sit down, go through the manual. Once you're loosened up, then we'll start.
Seriously, I mean, what would James Bond do? He would have himself a vodka martini, and he'd be 7 cigarettes in a row, and he'd read everything. So, I mean, if I'm going to get good at this, I have to emulate. But it's incredibly daunting, and the balance to that is the sharing from the community. People with thousands of games under their belt say, "What do you want to know?" I'll tell you anything. And to me, that's something when if you go into an online shooter and you say to somebody, show me your technique, normally you either get derision or a really high pitched voice in your headphones or whatever. In this one, it's thoughtful, it's caring, it's what can I do to bring you forward? What do you need from me? Uh, that's unique, as I said before. This game is very unique.
Hmm. Do you feel like do you think part of that is the people in the game, or is it the game itself attracting that sort of person? Like,
There you go.
is it? Yeah, sorry.
No, no, no. I was just going to say it's the balance between the two. Chris put together a really engaging game. It's as easy as checkers to figure out what you have to do, but it's insanely hard to master. And on the other hand, then you have these people who will share it with you. So, you know,
Hmm.
it's got both aspects to it. It's insanely hard. I'm looking at it right now with, I guess, 40 some odd games under my belt, and I don't think I have any idea of what's going on at all. But I'm having a blast doing it.
Well, that's a relief, and like, I mean, it's probably not the like most widespread survey to give of like one person's opinion of the game, because we certainly do run into the other situation of people being overwhelmed and just sort of quitting and not coming back to it, or quitting for a while and then they come back later on. So no, it's good to hear that you're so excited with the early stage of the game.
Like I said, I'm a social animal, so I enjoy the inclusion. This really is a party atmosphere. I'm hanging out, I'm having a martini, and I'm playing a game with a whole bunch of really, really nice people so far.
Mm.
There's nobody spouting racist or bigotry or there's none of that normal stuff that goes on with every other community that I've seen online. We're here to talk about Spy Party. Nobody's brought up politics or religion yet. It's great.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm sure we're all sensible enough that we could have those discussions and it wouldn't be out of place, I guess.
I've seen them, but I also remembered one of the first things I saw was the admonition, like if this gets out of hand, I'll throw it out.
Yeah.
When on the sub forums there, so it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see what's important.
We all understand there are boundaries, and if something like bubbles up into an argument, then Chris will veto it, which is okay. But yeah. I want to go back to your experience with the game so far. So have you played what sort of range of people have you come across? Have you come across a lot of experienced players? Have you played a lot of people who are like very, very fresh beginners? Like, have you seen a lot of different people?
5 different players.
Okay.
I've played against 5 different people for all the games that I've played. 2 of them, I think, were comparable to me. I mean, under 100 games or so.
Yeah.
And the rest were well over 1,000.
Okay. So regulars.
Yeah. Lessons. I really feel I should be paying for this. If you came into my house and asked me for guitar lessons, I would be charging you $50 an hour. And some of the insights and the coaching I've gotten, it's been like, man, you should be charging me.
Mm. No, that's cool to hear. Do you find the stuff you learn from playing people at your level? Like, do you still learn stuff from same tier skill level games?
It's a different kind of learning. When I'm playing a veteran, there's a lot of chat going on. When I play somebody who's new like me, there's very little chat usually, and the chat tends to be very clipped. It's a sentence or two. I saw that, or whatever. But I tend to start to notice things when I'm playing another newbie more on my own, which has its own satisfaction and skill building.
Okay, so sorry, there's a cat running across the keyboard. So I don't know why he likes flying down on the table for some reason. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, playing people at your skill level. So yeah, is like that to me sounds like the sort of almost solving a puzzle type of learning where you're figuring stuff out without it being explicitly said to you, like, oh, this person saw this, so maybe that means this or whatever.
I recall one of the early games I had. I was playing with this person, and we were both brand new to the game, and we split it 3-3. And I kept trying to engage and saying things in chat, and I was getting nothing back. And when the person left, in reflection, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, what happened? And immediately what I decided was forget about the interaction part of it. Go back to the game and let's watch the replays and see what I did. And I learned from that. I was able to learn from that with two people with blindfolds on bumping into each other. It was kind of easy to, oh, look at that. I see it immediately.
So
when I played some, well, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, I was just going to ask. So like, what was the thing you noticed that was giving you away in the replay?
What was interesting was we both made the same mistake. I screwed the pooch in banana bread. I think I twitched. So I started coughing, and he caught me and shot me immediately. And then he did a banana bread when there was only one other person in the conversation circle. So it was like, well, gee, okay, I get what's wrong with that picture. So and you can't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. So sorry, I keep interrupting you. You go on.
No. I was just saying that, so that one I had to sit and think for a second. And I went, okay, I get it. I figured it out on my own. Learning the game on your own is beneficial, and so is it when somebody can hold your hand and help you across.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear. Because it's a lot of stuff, and so um, uh, that going back to the thing I was saying, the worry about it being like daunting for people is that there's a lot of stuff that people just won't figure out on their own, or
Right.
won't notice for a long time. Like the sort of recurring problem I find is that for like when you're learning, um, there's thing after thing that you get caught for. So it's like, okay, you shoot a new player because they uh, twitch in conversation and do a cough when talking. And so you like explain that to them, and then the next time you catch them for something again, and then you shoot them for that, uh, and and so that like I worry that it's like too much negative feedback, and that is something that puts people off.
It's the way you deliver the message, not the message itself. That's a life lesson, right?
Okay.
In fact, I said this in the forums. If a chess master tells me I'm playing really well, even after he wipes me out, I'm beaming. I'm happy because somebody I admire is telling me I'm doing really well and I'm getting better. So, even when you're losing, you can have a great time. This is not the kind of game where you're going to sit there. If you're notching your gun, you're probably not going to be interested in this game. Because it's more, to me, it's more about the interaction and the learning curve. And I'm assuming that when you even get to the stratospheric levels, those people are still discovering new things all the time and going, hey, wait.
Yeah, well, there's often a lot of situations of noting that an AI will move in a way that you think a person would. Like, oh, I didn't realize that just by chance the AI could do a big swivel like that. A lot of
Right.
the little stuff in pathing is like that. You're like, oh, this thing happens one in a million times, but it happens once, so they have to think about it.
Well, I just saw a thread where somebody was talking about a way to do a bug and to be very much less noticeable about it. And I understood the gist of it. And at the same time, I'm looking at it going, give me a break. I can't bug somebody, for beans. So, to be able to do it with this glitch involved, I'm like, oh my gosh, the level of sophistication is fantastic. And to see that the curve continues, um, you know, that bodes well.
Yeah, it's cool to see. Uh have you been taught the rule of thumb where the circle at the ambassador's feet, it's when you're close enough for the bug to take, it'll turn solid purple. So you can use that as guidance of whether you're close enough that the bug will take.
Okay, wait a second. I'm getting a paper and pencil. Hold on.
Okay. See, this is what I mean.
See what I
There's all
mean?
these
Yeah, yeah.
small details
Sure,
that give you away, and
sure.
my worry is that for like most people, not you, of course, because as you so wisely pointed out, you learn thing after thing, and it's about the learning. But for for a lot of other people, they might be put off by it. Okay, you got a pen and paper? Do you?
I got. I do take notes, but no. What
All
I'll
right, all
do
right.
is I'll take this recording later and have it
Okay,
transcribed.
cool.
There.
Okay, so the rule of thumb for bugging the ambassador is that there's a circle around the ambassador's feet, and when you're
Right.
standing close enough that you can do a bug ambassador, it will turn solid purple. You can also do a walk by bug ambassador where as you're walking you can bug them, but to do that you'd have to be close enough such that when the arm goes out, um, you're in range to do the bug, and so it
Right.
uh, turns solid purple as your arm is out.
Ah, okay. See, this is the kind of stuff that to me is it's such an added benefit. It's like giving a little chew bone to my dog. Hey, here, you want a treat? No, seriously, I'm sitting and I'm playing. I have to give a shout out to Strobo just for playing and putting up with me because we're sitting there and it goes through this complete checklist of do you know the difference between a hard and soft tail? Do you know this? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? And this is before we got to the first game. So it was like this whole checklist, and I'm going, well, thank you. A, for the effort put into it, and B, for the patience to put up with me. So, it just really added to it. I've played them a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed it. I can't win, but I have fun.
Oh, that's cool. When you're playing then against people, your skill level, is the win rate even?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, cool.
I went 3-3 with one of them and 4-2 with the other.
Okay. So as far as we know, the game's still balanced then.
Pretty
As
much,
far as
yeah,
we know.
yeah. There are still wins in there. I mean, I was mentioning Strobo. I did kill him once as the sniper, and
Hey,
I was jumping up and down. Yes, my wife came running into the room to find out what was wrong. But
she came in to find what was right.
well, no, and then you know what it did? It put him on his A game. So then after that, I just was wiped the floor with me. It was like, okay, enough fooling around. I could hear the knuckles crack and the whole thing.
Ah,
It was like, I'm gonna take you now, and it was a great lesson. It was just really good. Anyway,
well, yeah. Well, that's one of the things I found an important lesson through playing high level players is sometimes you'll have a lucky win and you'll think really highly of yourself. But if it's a lucky win, it kind of doesn't count. It's like, well, I just like happened to see this thing, and so that may have been one win, but in the aggregate, I'm still going to lose to this person. So you can actually have games where you win, but you feel bad because you know it wasn't really earned. Not to
100%.
take
That's
away
it.
your win. I'm sure it
No,
was a
no,
great
no,
win.
no, 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 no. I'm jumping up and down, but you're describing exactly how I'm feeling because I knew it was a fluke. I knew it was a total fluke. And in fact, when I mentioned this is what gave it away, he went, "Okay, fine," and that's why the game face came on. He had just been playing with me rather casually, and when I noticed something, he said, "Okay, now I'm going to play you really hard, see if you can see it." And from then on, I couldn't see a thing. In
Mm.
fact, one of the subsequent games, he did a green action test on a swap, and I shot the civilian. Again, I went into my glee dance because I was like, I caught him swapping. I couldn't believe that I had seen such a mistake. And then it was subsequent to that I went, oh wait, that was a green action test. I didn't know that. Right? So it was a lesson, but it was cool. It was good.
No, awesome. And it probably is something that's uh useful for keeping people engaged is like even if you're being swamped by somebody, you still might get a chance win, and that's at least something. So
Yep.
that is like useful when you're starting out. Is like it's a game both of skill and chance, and so sometimes you'll
Oh,
chance yourself a win.
absolutely. No, no, no. I have one bluff card. I've played a card where I just won't pick up control of the spy at all. And against a newbie, it can work. Against somebody who knows how to play the game, forget it. Unless I'm doing like 3 of 8 or something where I could get away with that many soft ones. But against other newbies, I can just sit there and watch the screen go, and they're going to shoot a civilian 9 times out of I can bet on that. That's not a win. That's a bluff. And it is part of the game. So yes, it is a win, and I'll take it. But I didn't do it. You
Right.
know.
And hopefully it's also a bluff that they'll learn from. They'll learn like,
Right.
okay, I can pay attention and note that because X many things didn't happen, they couldn't be done. And that sort of patience and decision making is very important for starting out. So no, I think you're teaching them a good lesson about being more hesitant.
Well, yeah, but then by the same token, I get taken by somebody who does 4 missions in a minute.
Yes, and that's
Fif-
the that's
15
that's the
seconds?
great opposite side of that is
Oh,
punishing the
oh,
snipers that take them.
please. I can't get anywhere near 15 seconds. I've gone into practice mode, and the best I can do right now is 2 minutes. So I'm double that. It's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Well, like a problem a lot of new people find with like getting stuff done is just walking around. Like, how is it? So the pathing system is um, quaint. It's like it does the job. It's like an eight star um, uh, like very simple moving system, but it's quite awkward for people to learn. Like, have you found it weird learning how to walk around the party?
Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm over speaking here. That was probably one of the easier things to pick up.
Oh, okay.
I was very quickly told, hey, don't ever twitch. even if you miss the pad, just stand there like a, whatever. And then the other thing was somebody put up a clip in which they had sped up the photography from like 8 or 10 matches, so you could just watch the bots walking around. And as I said, I'm in quality, so statistics or something. So my eye noticed something in their pathing, and I said, "Oh, I see an organic element to this that I can easily follow." So that was one of the easier things for me to kind of pick up. I'm not good at it. I'm not going to say I'm good, but I understand what I
Right.
should do to be good at it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the rule of thumb I use is everyone's trying to take the shortest path to get somewhere, and so
No, yeah, right, right.
yeah, and it's like that's my rule of thumb is like, okay, if I'm standing here, I need to decide where I'm going to go before I start pushing any buttons, and then I need to take the shortest path. So like cutting tight around corners, not like going in a big swaying arc, things like that.
I also found they seem to follow the terrain, right? If there are two conversation circles, those edges of the two circles are going to be the path.
Yeah,
So it's fairly easy to maneuver in between them and not appear to be, an idiot bumping into things. The first time you look at pathing, it's like, oh crap, I'll never do that. But for me, I don't know why. That was one of the easier things to do. The only thing I have to work on now is all of the missions.
well, yeah, it was I think I remember Chris saying this. You know, Will Wright, the guy who makes or who made the Sims.
Maxi, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he when Chris was telling him about the idea, he thought it would never work, that it would be like way too hard for a person to emulate the computer, and it would be really easy to to spot the person apart from the computers. And
Ah.
yeah, and so it is kind of counterintuitive to think that, oh, people can actually intuitively get a grip of how to walk around a room and appear to blend in.
Right. Most of the little blurbs, if you do a Google on the game really quickly, most of them will say it's a subtle game about human behavior. And that's enough to go, okay, now I have to find out what are you talking about? And yeah, it's not human behavior, it's human coding or AI behavior or yeah.
Well, yeah, it's I know I still consider that human behavior. It's discerning human behavior, but a lot of it is, yeah, like discerning not human behavior as well.
Well, yeah, as the spy, you're putting on makeup and trying to appear as something that you're not, and yeah, we're trying to see through it as the audience. Do you find one aspect harder than the other?
Oh, like between spy and sniper?
Yes.
Um, I f I find spy harder because that is more proactive as opposed to the sniper, where you're being more reactive. Like you have to come up with new ideas of what to do next, whereas as the sniper, you can sort of um, sit back and sort of zen out.
Okay.
Sometimes, like other times, then you get thrown off and you have to like think of something new to do. But generally, like spy, I find harder. What about for you?
No, exactly the same. One of the times that I was the sniper, as a matter of fact, really just funny to say, I was told in advance, here's what I'm going to do. And I missed every single one of them.
Ah,
You know what I mean? So that's part of the learning curve aspect of it. But still, yes, spying is so much harder to me. It's just I look at it and go, oh, I'm never going to be good at this, man.
but then the inverse side of that I find is that uh, it's easy enough to learn the hard tells, like learning. Okay, watch these statues, memorize them. If you see a swap, you know who the spy is. But missions like seduce target are very difficult to figure out a way to look for because it requires watching who's talking and how long they're spending with a particular guest. Um,
Right.
remembering that on top of everything else is very tricky. So do you find like there are particular missions that as sniper you find harder to see?
Well, again, I was given a short checklist. What I was told is here are 4 things that you need to watch every single time, and you can let the other things kind of go until you learn these. Um, I was told things like watch Toby, always watch Toby, watch the ambassador, watch the books, watch the statues, and those were that's basically it. And the other things, like you were just talking about, that's nuance that I'm figuring is going to come later.
Yeah, it's you never really
Because I'm not
forced to
I'm not
learn.
going to see a flirt right now. I can't even see a statue swap. I'm still going, oh, that was a green AT. Damn.
Yeah. Well, it's a discussion that comes up a fair bit, is that flirt is very hard even for high level players to see. Um, and to really be watching for it requires you to divert a lot of attention from watching other things. So
Right.
it's a risky play, and most people have sort of settled into the rhythm of it's not worth the attention and just sort of giving the spy that one. So for a lot of people, it's like a free mission to do seduce target.
Right. Right. It to me, it's dependent on the audience. If I'm playing somebody totally new, I have that bluff in my hand. If
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
playing somebody who's very experienced, no, I
And
have to bring in. Go ahead.
yeah, and that's what gives a sort of liveliness to the game is you're not playing against a blank slate perfect player. You're playing against a person, and that person has preferences and things they like to do.
Right. I remember reading early on about don't choose the same character over and over. And then right after that was on the flip side, choose the characters over and over because nobody's going to suspect that you're going to do that 8 times in a row. And I'm thinking to myself, games within games within games within games. You could drive yourself insane looking for things in this. Or as some people say, you just kind of scope the whole thing in and you're watching it all at once. And while I understand the concept and I think I'll achieve that one day, right now I'm looking at it going, wow, that's a talent I wish I had.
Yeah, it's tough, and I would certainly not be one to do it. I don't think even KCM or Crazy Kaylee or Virifo, very experienced players, I don't think they can watch everything. That's like that sort of uh, I think ideal of the game being balanced is you have to make a decision of what you're going to look at. You can't look at everything at once. That like that's the real high level strategy is I only have so many things I can look at. I have to decide where to look based on what I think this person's going to do.
But the higher the level of your opponent, the more things you're going to have to watch for.
Yeah, and the harder it is to predict what they're going to do because they know what sort of a player you are. So they're like, well, he's probably going to be
Right.
looking for this, so I'm not going to do that sort of thing.
Right. So I'm going to take this character because he doesn't suspect it because I've never used it before in our games. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
No, a fun inversion of that though is sometimes you can outthink yourself and defeat yourself. Like
Right.
Siegeman, a very good player. He's been in the show before, great guy. He's talked to me about how sometimes he'll outthink himself and have suspects for things that are completely irrelevant.
I do that all the time. I'm sitting there and I'm highlighting people, and then afterwards, why are you highlighting them? What did they do? And I'm going, well, at the time it seemed really relevant, but in retrospect, gee, you're right. I made a mistake, and I should have been highlighting that person. It came later that when I first started playing, I was highlighting and lowlighting like a madman. I was trying to eliminate suspects as fast as I could, and I realized I was wrong most of the time. So, somebody told me back up and
Yeah, no,
sage advice.
no, I've had that from Drawn Onward before, one of the very experienced players, where I, I I shot somebody and didn't really have a good reason for doing it, and 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 then he asked me, okay, so why'd you shoot that person? And I was like, because this, and he's like, okay, well, what else? Like, what other reason do you have? That wasn't enough, and it felt like being scolded by a school teacher.
For real, show your work on a separate piece of paper. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have a good explanation for why I did it. It was a hunch, and
It's
that's
like,
the
oh,
last thing you want to say in this game, right? I was
mm,
guessing. I was just guessing. It's at 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna shoot. Damn it! Right.
potluck,
So
yeah.
yeah.
But no, it's I like that. That's to me one of the big appeals of the game is it's there there's a tension between that between what you know and what you don't know. At some point, you have to sort of make an intuitive leap. Not all the time. Like sometimes or maybe regularly, you're able to catch the person out on a definitive thing, but a lot of the time it's exciting to have that uncertainty and going, well, I think it's this person, but I don't have a good reason why I think it's that person.
Right. And I also wonder how many times at that level is one player just misleading the other, even in the chat. Why did you shoot this one? And they'll give them a reason, and it may not be correct because it's leading them to the next game. How much of the chat between two really high-level players is just poker talk?
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm at that level, so I don't know. Like, I feel like most of the time when people talk, they're talking sincerely. Like when someone has something to say, they mean what they say. And if they have hidden information, they just won't talk. Or like just won't mention about the game.
Hmm. Okay.
Like
That's good to know also. Yeah.
yeah, like that's just my intuition from like having watched a few games with people at like competitive levels. They don't tend to talk about the game itself. Instead, they'll talk sort of around it.
Right. But if somebody were to pointedly ask them a question, why did you choose this as
I
the spy?
I think they'd share that information. I think.
Okay.
I
You
I
don't
don't know.
think that,
Maybe I would say it would depend on the person and the circumstance. So maybe
well,
someone like on a whim decides, all right, I'm gonna give away this information or not.
Well, I'm thinking the circumstance may have a lot to do with it. If somebody were to put up a prize that was actually worth something, at that point, deception becomes very much a strategy. And I'm talking at an extremely high level, not me and players like me. But if KCM's playing somebody else at the same level, and they're asked a pointed question during something that they consider a heated match, do they feel obligated to share truthfully, or maybe they come back an hour later and say
Wow, that's become almost a philosophy question. Like,
well,
like,
doesn't the game have elements of that?
yeah, no, true. Yeah, it's uh, like a hypothetical psychology situation. Like, oh, in this situation, does person X's behavior changed if we like introduce this? Like, how truthful are you relative to the like value you place on the match?
Put $1,000 prize up and see how somebody's values might change. That's that's well documented.
I don't know. Yeah, like if someone wants to try that experiment, go for it. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna, I'm
it
gonna,
ain't
I'm gonna
me,
stay
right? Yeah.
away.
I'll give a free drink to a winner somewhere, but that's about it.
Good prize.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem. But yeah, can you think of anything else you wanna talk about? Any of the subjects that have your interest about the game?
Um, yeah, there are so many. The laundry list is really long.
Well,
I
hey,
wish there were. What?
you
Go.
you said you work in QA, like um more more for Chris's sake than anybody else's. Like, um, what do you think of the quality of Spy Party as a piece of software in its current state?
Um, uh, I think it's really, really well done. My experience is in manufacturing hard things, not
Oh,
software.
okay, sorry.
But still, well, it's still a fair question. I as I told you, I've had computers for about 40 years. So as far as the game's concerned, um, yeah, the artwork is in a state of flux and it's changing. But as a concept and as something to strive for, guy hit a home run. I mean, I'm a fanboy. You can tell I've been gushing for half an hour here. I'm really taken with both the community and the game. It is such a simple thing to pick up and incredibly hard to do well that it's got that inherent challenge. I'm playing myself. I'm not worried about you.
Yeah, we're all playing ourselves
Uh,
and in part
to
the
it,
other person. No,
yeah.
it's true.
No, you're right.
It's
You're
true.
right.
It's true. You're your own worst enemy.
Absolutely, and that's true in so many ways that I like it. It's something to be reminded of. It's a great game. The first time I played the old artwork, that was a bit disconcerting. I went, "Whoa!" because all the recommendations here, play beginner ballroom and play this and do this, and okay, fine. And then the first time somebody said, hey, let's play this balcony or whatever it was, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, which statue is that? But that's not something you count against the game. That's the work in progress part of it. So I'm more than willing to invest my time in a couple of bucks.
Yep, the hammer and sawdust sounds.
Yeah.
It actually says that in the lobby. It says,
In
please
the lobby.
don't mind the hammer and sawdust.
I hear it. I know what he's talking about. I have that sitting up in the background, and I'm looking at my browser, and you can see feet walking around the bottom every once in a while, right? So yeah, there's this activity in the background.
Totally.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great. I've been here, 3 weeks, and there's been an update since then. The guy's obviously still working hard like crazy on this, so I'm very appreciative. And for people like you too, these podcasts themselves, being able to listen to Drawn Onward or whomever you have on, very insightful. I pick up a lot of pointers, even though I know that I may not get 100% of their point right now. It's information that as I play the game, I'll have an aha moment later and go, "Oh, I get it."
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear it's providing some value to new people.
Oh, a lot of value. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a good 40 minutes of us gushing over Spy Party. So thank you very much, AngryHatter, for taking part.
Thank you for the invite. I'll look for you in game.
Cool. All right. Take care.
All right, man. Night.